Yes, sir.
All right,
Right.
we've
Go.
got you on here. Maybe we can field some questions, sir, since you're on here now.
Yeah, I mean, we've been. I want to tell everybody, ironically, well, I don't think it's ironic. We've been having really great success with this. We've had nothing but super positive results. I mean, you can look at my resource page on my website if you want to look at. What we've been doing is posting blog postings on the success stories. We've got our virtual platform coming up, the Rev Talks platform. Mine just got finished. I would just spend some time posting stuff. We've had nothing but super positive results. Billings the same as it was last month. Everything's really good. So if you're aggressive about this and you're aggressive about telling everybody all the positive things that you're doing as far as students, then it's just a big plus. I mean, people are really, really happy that we're doing something good. Are there some negatives? Sure. But I would tell everybody that. But what questions we have if you want to start with those? And Master Oliver's on, so we can start with the agenda too. But I would tell everybody we're having really good. It's a very positive environment. The key is to be aggressive and proactive about letting them know how much we're doing for them.
Yeah. The word I like is over communicate.
Well, in Master Oliver, one of the things that I think has been really, really easy to do is just like every parent. I was testing my Saturday, and every parent, we just had a few of the instructors actually, because I didn't yell at my guys to do this yet, but I just said, hey, stand over there and give me a testimonial about how well you like the virtual classes. Well, we hadn't even started them yet, but they said, oh yeah, this is going to be great. We really love the virtual classes. They told the truth in advance. And they just did. So we had some testimonials. We got like 4 already posted, and we've got a bunch of them. So you can do testimonials on this, and it's great content for you to have. So you don't even have to be the ones telling them how great it is. You can get testimonials on it. Push back out to your students. The biggest key is treat it like regular school, your regular attendance issues. If people don't show up for class, your job is to bitch at them to go to class. I mean, that's number one. If they don't go to class, bitch at them to go to class. And if they say, oh, I'm just kind of hunkering down because of all this stuff, well, that's kind of a bullshit answer. Unless they have coronavirus and they're in the hospital, they can come to class because you have options for them. And then it'd just be like if somebody's saying we're really busy this week, we couldn't come to class. Okay, well, let's solve that problem. We can work around whatever your schedule is. It's really ultimately the same thing. Just because there's a crisis, we're giving them lots of options that they can train. So anyway, to me, it's as soon as you get your technology ready, it's positive.
Yeah, there's a couple of mistakes. At least I take them as mistakes that I have seen. And by the way, a number of schools have done a really good job with utilizing Google Classroom, where there's a number of other apps where you can post assignments and post videos and check to see whether people checked in and did and so forth. That's wonderful. What the mistake is not just running your normal class schedule and having it shifted over so it's on Zoom, and letting them practice from home if you're in an area where it's obligatory or appropriate to be closed for group classes of any sort, right? And I've seen a lot of iterations that kind of get it wrong. One of our members was trying to do only private classes and had worked in only about 25% of their students in the first week on private classes. Number one, we don't want to shift to like the old Tracy's format, which was always a disaster, of everybody gets a free, a private class every week and then a group class. We don't want to shift to that, whether it's in person or whether it's virtual. There's no reason to do that, right? What you do want to do is start where we started a couple weeks ago. Number one, have a good list of all your students in the first year, subset that list into all your first year students who aren't yet renewed, and then have an additional list, because it'll be a lot of them a little bit more advanced, everyone who's renewed to black belt who's not in your highest level program, say leadership, and have a really good list, and make sure that each and every one of them have attended at least once this week and have gotten a walkthrough on the new virtual classes and are up to speed on that, right? You want to make sure that all of your students are, but the ones I really worry about are the first year students and the first year students who aren't yet renewed. So one mistake is not just shifting your normal class schedule and having them all by Zoom and having them interactive. Because if classes aren't interactive, they're not going to be as engaged and they're not going to continue. Just feeding them curriculum videos and all that kind of stuff is, it's a fine enhancement in normal times. It's a fine enhancement now, but it doesn't take care of what you need to be taken care of, right? So one is shift your normal class schedule to interactive, be keeping attendance on everything, make sure that you aren't missing anybody this week, or if you're launching the virtual classes next week, fine. Make sure that you've communicated with everyone and that you've got them on the virtual classes. If you want to do other things, have assignments for them online, use Google Classroom or any of the comparables. If you want to have additional videos and curriculum training they can do. All of that is nice enhancements, but it doesn't solve the main issue of replacing them interacting with you personally twice a week and being engaged in regular class. So make sure that you've shifted to your normal class schedule using Zoom as the platform. I'm sure there are alternatives. Is the best one that I know of, and it works seamlessly. So make sure you've done that. Make sure you over communicate. Priority mail envelope, letters out to all of the students, multiple emails, text. Human being has called them all, walk them through the setup, walk them through the technology if they're not already familiar, and make sure that right now, as of Thursday, anyone who's missing in action, anyone who hasn't been in yet this week, either virtually or live, if you still have live, make sure that you're on the phone with them and you get them up and running so that they don't miss a week already in this thing. Is that making sense? Jason, do you have a question before you go further?
Actually, not a question, a statement. So I just realized I'm going to get 1,000 testimonials over the next week, and I'm not joking about that. So the very start of class, everybody's coming on, and I'm right now we're saying, tell us something fun that you've done over the last couple of days. Our Matt chat in the middle of the class is talking about stress and how we deal with it. And so saying, hey, that fun thing is a good way for you to deal with stress. What I'm going to start doing at the start of class is saying, hey, can everybody tell me something you really love about class? We're recording it. I'm spotlighting them. So I have video recordings of this, and I'll ask that question over and over and over for the next week and literally get, people multiple times saying testimonials, right?
Yeah. And then you can cut pieces out. You can utilize that in any way you shape or form.
Yep. Yep.
And you can now have a video clip. You can have an audio clip. You can have a written clip. This automatically does a machine transcription. It's not great, but you can hand it off to somebody else to clean it up and to get rid of all of the typos and the stuff that it didn't understand. But yeah, Jason, you can create a tremendous number in the week. That's a phenomenal advantage of having this technology going.
One other thing, Master Oliver, when they're contacting their students about the new online classes with Zoom or whatever format they're doing, Zoom is the easiest. Make sure that if they have any trouble logging on, to make sure that they do it before the actual meeting, that they know how to download the app, they know how to get online. And when you send them all a link, all they should have to do is just click on it. If you're sending them a link, just like we do for these meetings, if you just send them that link and they click on it, it should go right to it. Sometimes they don't know how to unmute, or they don't know how to turn the video on or off, or things like that. But mostly you want to make sure that the first couple, at least the first couple classes is going to be learning how to get on there properly.
Yeah.
It's okay to give you a call or a text or an email so you can walk them through it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about with intros in a little bit too. But one of the things I did with many of you guys is started the interaction on the phone and said, have you download the Zoom app? Great. Go to start meeting, enter the meeting ID. Great. Now I can see you, you're on. You can start them on the telephone and then walk them into the room. And we're going to talk about this with intros. Well, I've talked to a couple of our members, Ken, I think was one, and Amanda Christensen was another, about how to, walk an intro into a group class, show them that what's going on, let them watch or let them participate, and then open another room so that you can walk them in. So what I was saying with the intros, and we'll come back to this later, but is you can start on the telephone and say, now we already did the last class on Zoom, open it up now. See, there's everybody coming in for their class. And what I'm going to do is let you kind of join in here and participate. And then you're going to see on your screen an invitation to go to another room. We're going to go to the other room and work more individually, answer any questions that you have, and then we'll go through an evaluation and get you guys going from there. So you can walk them into class just like you would in a group class, let them participate or watch, and then you can walk them out of class into a different room, teach them a separate class, assuming you have enough staff and so forth to do that. You certainly could do it the opposite way, which would be, I'm doing an intro at 2:00 in the afternoon. There's a class at 6:45 on this same link tonight or on a different link. We're going to have our beginners class. Once you come in, feel free to participate. If you do, make sure you let me know you're there, and or just watch if you're more comfortable. And then we're going to follow up tomorrow, but you'll get a sense of what our small group beginner classes, and actually they're a little bit bigger on the video than they would be at the school because people are bored and they're kind of showing up every day, which is unusual. So you could do it that way as well, right? But Jason, that's a great idea. And you can ask leading questions, and you can have 50 people all raising their hands and doing this, and you can ask individuals, and that's a tremendous idea. I love that.
Yeah, and I think what I'll do is I'll ask the family saying, okay, so first, kids, I want to hear something fun that you really enjoy from our martial arts. And then parents, you're there. I want to get your perspective. What's something parents that you love that your kids are doing in this? And of course, we're going to then say, we'll relate that to stress, relate that to a mat chat, but then I'm also getting a testimonial from it too.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, again, as much as I hate to, let's do a little update on what's going on the federal, state government level. They haven't passed any bill yet, but it looks like the House is going to pass this big, gargantuan, ridiculous bill that they have in front of them tomorrow. So the Senate passed it yesterday. The House looks like it's going to pass it tomorrow. But among other things, what it does, and this is for your students who are hairdressers or their waiters or waitresses who are stressed out about things. Among other things that it does, presumably, although it may change, is they're going to mail everybody a check for $1,200. And when I say everybody, I mean a certain income threshold. I think it's 75 or 90,000 for an individual, and there's a different thing for families. And if it's something like 1,200 per person plus 500 per kid. So if it was a family of 4, they're going to get $3,400, right? But also what's going to happen is for all the ones that have actually lost their job, again, waiter, waitress, hairstylist or whatever, and they're filing unemployment, apparently they're going to give them an extra $650 a week on top of whatever their normal unemployment would be, which in some cases they're going to be making more money because of this than they would have been working, which is a bad outcome. But
that was the argument. That was the argument the Republicans were having about it. Master Oliver, I was going to make a comment about that. Right now, I was mentioning on the call the other day, the banks are letting people not pay their auto loans for a couple months with no interest.
Master, let's stay with the legislative thing, right? And then we'll come back to that. But on the legislative thing, it also looks like they're trying to do a small business thing where they're really working on it being facilitated quickly. So you go to your local bank and you show them what your overhead is, you show them what your payroll is, and they'll loan you that money. And then it gets waived a year from now, apparently, if you still have that much headcount or more on your payroll. Now, my presumption is, because neither I nor I guess anybody has seen the bill, is my presumption is they're going to have some clause where you got to prove to them that your revenue dropped 50% or something like that. So I would make the assumption that none of us benefit from it or are even worried about it, because your revenue is going to stay steady and go up, not drop, right? But now, Master Moody, let's talk about what you were talking about.
Well, what I was, yeah, along those lines right now, and if you guys could take advantage of it just so you don't have to pay your auto loan or car or a house loan, the banks are just saying, oh, you don't have to pay for a couple months, and there's like zero penalty for it and zero interest. So what I was thinking about was, if anybody says to you, well, I'm having a rough time, it's hard to pay, I have to make my house payment, I have to make my car payment, you can just tell them, well, not really. They really don't have to make their house payment or car payment. And they may be a lot more interested in not making their $1,500 a month house payment or $700 a month car payment or whatever they're making than worrying about their $300 or $400 a month karate payment. So, that may be a concern for somebody that's talking to you, but their banks are sending notices out to people telling them they don't have to pay.
Yeah, proactively.
So if that's an objection, I was just bringing that up, sir, as if it's an objection, you guys need to know that and just kind of let people know, well, don't worry about our payment you can make. It's those other payments to worry about and go off to them. And that's really, really easy for people to do. So yeah. That's not a real concern that people can bring to you.
Yeah, I think I saw Canada. It's actually going to be sending people $2,000 a month. Everybody's just going to get extra check for $2,000.
I texted Rob Adelick while we were talking, sir, and he said, I don't think so yet, that they hadn't passed their bill yet, but I'm not sure what their status is.
Yeah, neither have we, but I mean, that's what presumably they've all kind of agreed on in the U.S. anyway. But yeah, on that note, Master Moody, and again, once you've run your business right, you're mostly fishing in the right pond. So most of the people that you have are management and their executives and their doctors and their lawyers and so forth. So you're not mostly having people who are trying to scrape up $300 or $400 or $500 a month in tuition because they're waiting tables, right? Especially where a lot of you are located. However, for the ones that you have that are in that boat, maybe they're an executive for Marriott and got laid off because the travel industry is taking a hit right now. Certainly the oil business is taking a hit unrelated to the coronavirus. But if you are, I mean, I was just seeing Citibank, Chase, US Bank, and Wells, which are all, most of the biggies, they just were saying that any of their mortgage holders can do a 3 months abeyance. In other words, they're not wiping the payment out, but they're adding it to the, to the end.
Yes, sometimes it's a deal that you should take advantage of, because it'd be better to take that money and put it in investments than it would be to pay the stupid car loan or whatever. But anyway, it's kind of crazy what they're proactively doing.
Yeah. So for your students, it does come back to kind of, Scott, the language you had in that first letter, which I didn't like particularly, but it comes down to the, support a small local business and, all these other big creditors are going to help you out. But, you need to, for your own benefit, for your child's benefit, stay plugged into this. And by the way, it's not exactly a wonderful thing for everybody to be trying to stiff us at the same time. But again, don't get in the mode of canceling anything. Anyone that I have seen so far who successfully and immediately transitioned to the virtual classes is having almost none, but almost nobody trying to cancel their programs. I think that's a pretty much universal. Is that fair, David? You're agreeing with that? Amanda, Tim Harrison, you haven't had a problem. Amanda Olson, have you had a problem with that? Chris, you say no problems there. Greg, your schools, no problems. The Mile High schools haven't had that problem. Assuming you immediately adjust, right? If you just were to lock the doors for a week and not communicate, and they don't, they assume that you're just closed while everybody else is closed. Well, of course they're going to, right? Of course they're going to. But if you have turned on the dime, like we've been trying to do, you have your full class schedule is still in place. It's all via interactive classes. Plus, you bought them a new book. You gave them a target for using at home. You over communicated by direct mail as well as email and text and all these other mechanisms. You're still making progress updates, stripes. Maybe you've overlaid with a Google Classroom or something where they have additional assignments and they can check off, and they have homework sheet. I saw Rob Adelick did some wonderful drawing sheets that are martial arts stuff and some extra assignments. I haven't seen Rob yet. Rob, if you're here, tell us about some of those. There's Rob. Rob's waving his hand in the background. Unmute yourself, Rob. Tell us about that stuff.
We've just been running as many contests and things like that to get the kids engaged. So our program director made some coloring sheets. She made challenges on Minecraft. All the kids are playing Minecraft anyway, so they made a challenge for build a martial arts school, a kung fu school in Minecraft. So the kids are all just on, the parents are posting this stuff on Facebook just to keep them engaged. It's working really well. And then, you know, we just picked a winner for every little challenge, and it's just pushing up that engagement. You know, we can't stripe their belts, so we got to find as many different ways to track engagement as we can.
And you can stripe their belts. You can either have a curbside pickup for their belts while they're out at the grocery store, or you can. I think Amanda Olson was mailing them to them as on a weekly basis. So yeah, don't lose that. But that's great, Rob. Excellent. And Team Took there, I saw you guys here somewhere. You've been doing some great stuff too. You had a book that they were picking up at your school, and some other special assignments and a lot of extra. Travis, you want to talk to us about that, or John?
Yeah, well, so this kind of part two of the book that we've had the kids reading, and we give them chapter assignments that they have to do with each one, and with those they can get the character stripe for turning in the assignment, and they're also logging in for their book club reading time, so they can get it for that. And so we kind of just announced that, but we've already given out a few books, and we've had some people come by, and you know what we've done just to make sure everybody's comfortable is whatever stripes they've shown that they've earned is we're putting the stripes on like a sheet of paper and handing it to them, so we don't have to put touch the kid or grab the belt or anything. Not that they're all worried about it, but just to make it comfortable for everyone.
Sure.
And we were a little concerned with the online classes. We're running 1 during the day and 3 in the evening because we had pretty low participation the first day, but every day has been more. Today's daytime was the biggest one so far. Yesterday's evening were all the biggest. It's just a lot of mass communication and individual communication with everyone to try to get them to attend the classes. But it's been going really well.
Well, would it be fair to say that as soon as you get them in once, they love it and there's no problem from there on?
Yeah, the response has been, I haven't had one person who's done the class have anything negative to say or imply that it was less valuable than what they got. It's obviously different, but I feel like, it's not like there's other things that we were doing that are unique and in some ways better with this platform because it kind of unifies everybody. Everybody's at home, stuck there, and this gives them that relief. They get to sweat, and not everyone's motivated to exercise on their own, but when they're doing it and they see everyone, the interaction, like the Q&A part, has been really great. And then we record the Zoom meeting and we post it on the members page and on, online. And so they get access to that, which they're happy. They're asking like, hey, are there going to be recordings of this? I want to go back and watch. That was a really great lesson. So, yeah, so far so good.
They can do more lessons. Now they have something to do every day. Whereas before, after this is all over, they're probably going to come back much more advanced than they were had they just been coming twice a week like normal.
I hate to say it this way, but I think this is going to be for us one of the best experiences ever because so many different things that all the creativity of the team here, some of it, I made up, but a lot of it, you guys are coming up with great stuff. Jimmy, I think, was the first one who really mastered the interactive stuff with Zoom. You were on that before I had even thought about it, Jimmy. And we have so many examples. Travis, tell them about the book you're teaching.
Well, this is one. It's real popular in kind of the jiu-jitsu community. I have it right here. It's this is sort of part 2. The book is Way of the Warrior Kid. This is part 2, Mark's Mission. So part 1 is kind of about a kid who's bullied, picked on, not very confident, and he finds jiu-jitsu and he's able to build the confidence through the interactions with the school and the lessons. And in part two, he's now a confident kid who is helping another kid. So there's sort of like a referral message there. But,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Part
it.
of your instructor certification program.
Exactly. Yeah, and they like, and it's a real easy read, and there's pictures in it, and the lessons are very manageable. And there's even a coloring book, which is a very simplified version of the same book that has a very, very short story, and then the kids can color it. So like our 3 and 4 year olds, we're having them do that one.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the Jocko
Willink.
Well, there you go. I'm butchering his name. He wrote the Extreme Ownership book. And what's the other one? He had a follow-up to Extreme Ownership.
Dichotomy of Leadership.
There you go. All of his books are fabulous.
Yeah, they're real good.
And by the way, he has some really good videos on YouTube, and there's different people who've interviewed him. And they have a website that is really good too. They're always posting stuff up there, and they have articles and so forth that you could use. There's him, and there's a number of other guys that fit into that same category that are all pretty good. You guys will bring up some of the names quicker than I'll remember them. But that's a great book, especially a good book for the kids. But the Extreme Ownership one would be a great one for the adults, right?
Yeah, I think that's the one I want to buy in bulk and give to all the adults right now. I was trying to find a discounted version. They're all still like $15-17 each. So it's like these I can get for like $3 or $4 each, but
yeah,
that's still worth it.
There are remnant book sites. And it's one of the reasons I like some of the classic ones. Oftentimes I can find Brian Tracy in hardback for $3 or something like that on the remnants. If you don't know what, Amazon has a remnants section. I think they call it bargain or whatnot. It's kind of like the section in Barnes and Noble where they have all the books that are not still in first run. That one, I imagine you're right, Travis, is that it's probably not on remnant yet.
Mhm.
But some of these others are. You can go buy them for the $25 hardback for $2 or $3 sometimes.
Yeah, was the paperback 15, Travis?
Yeah, that was kind of the best price that I found when looking for them. The hardcover is quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. Didn't you have a bulk book place, Master Oliver, that you posted?
Well, there's that place, and if you're ordering big lots, sometimes they beat Amazon, and sometimes they don't. I dawned on me to compare, and some of them on Amazon with Amazon Prime, they were same price, maybe a little less. But again, if you look in the discount books in Amazon, a lot of times there's stuff that would be really useful for us that's there on steep discount. You can also look for remnant or remainders books online. I'll find some links. But a lot of times stuff that we would like, and of course, all the lessons that we're teaching are timeless, right? So whether it's Dennis Waitley from the 80s, or whether it was the bestseller from 2 years ago, or whether it's something current now, there's rarely any of the things that we're teaching on goal setting, character development, focus that isn't pretty timeless, right? So that's great. So, but I want to point out, Travis was doing a really good job with having the new book and having that out and having the videos. Of course, thanks to Jimmy for really pioneering all of the Zoom video stuff for all of us. And what I have seen is if you shift on a dime and you over communicate and you exert strong leadership. In other words, again, I still like that all the cognitive behavioral therapy books and all of the training on that. But you keep your students from catastrophizing, get them to really focus in, to stay on track, to keep making progress, to recognize this is a short-term deal, it's not a long-term deal. Then you're in great shape and you exercise that leadership. Of course, it's got to start with you. You've got to be legal pad every day. And the last thing that I didn't point out, so you wanted to have the list of everybody who's within a year, the strong list of everybody who's not renewed yet. Everybody that's on that list, you've got to make sure that they have gotten engaged this week on the live Zoom meetings. You also want the list of everybody who is black belt club but needs to be going into leadership, or if you have a different name for it, fine. But you want to know everybody who's renewable, because we're going to launch April 1st a massive renewal blitz and have our best cash month ever in April, right? But you want to make sure that everyone has gotten engaged, that no one gets left in the stack. You don't want to finish this week with 25% or 35%, or for God's sake, 50% of your student body who hasn't attended a class this week, whether live or virtual, and who hasn't really been touched and engaged, right?
Master, you
Yes.
mentioned since we started when we first started, we were just getting the word out. I think by the end of this week, we're going to have about 90% of our people on the Zoom meetings, and our classes are now larger than our average class size. Typical a large class for us is somewhere around 24, but we've gone past that now. So it's the people.
Awesome.
You're right. You just gotta call them on the phone. You gotta let them know. You gotta walk them through it, and so it's working out. There have been some people that have been affected financially, but it's a lot less than I thought.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And make sure on the character sheets, guys, this would be the time to, just like Rob Adlick put together a little special thing that they're doing. Do something special with your character worksheets. You know, when you're on the class, have them hold up their sheets and show you how many they've been doing. And remember, you can send them their stripes. They can come by. People are going out and picking up a carry out. So if you're going to have somebody come by that's going to pick up some stripes or pick up a belt, make sure when you go out that you have your rubber gloves. I mean, that sounds kind of funny for us, but you know, when you get a carry out something, you don't want the guy coming out there carrying your order out there without the gloves on, just like the people preparing the food have the gloves on. And it makes them feel like you have a sense of following all of these guidelines. So they're going to feel a little more safe and not feel like they have to go home and not touch it and have to wash it off before they use it.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
I have a question. I have a database of previous students. I wonder what your thoughts are as far as inviting them to join these Zoom meetings, since it's not really going to be me.
I'm glad you asked, because that's our transition point. And so let me go to Kendrick. Where's Kendrick? Hiding here somewhere. Yeah, there you go, Kendrick, with your headphones on as always. Unmute yourself, or I can unmute you. You can unmute. There you go. Tell us about your email blitz and how many people you have scheduled to come into a Zoom class.
So we opened up some free karate classes on Monday, and so we had 170 people coming to that. We've captured 275 emails, and then I am okay. Good, go. Sorry, I got kids working from home, right?
Sound like Master and his dogs.
Yeah,
right. Well, last week I had 2 11-year-olds and 3 dogs all trying to get attention at the same time.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have any dogs right at the moment, so at least I only have the kids. So that's what I'm in the process now is getting these folks, sending out emails and touching base. I've had a few parents contact me individually, and I'm talking with them.
We'll walk through process, but hold that thought.
Thank
Greg
you.
Macy, tell us about what you rounded up in the last 24 hours.
So far, we're actually, as of right now, 40 confirmed intros, virtual intros, and those are going to be live virtual intros. We've also launched on our platform through My Free Karate. We have an email blast that's going out, and so far our click rate, which we just did constant contact, so our click rate is actually out of 5,000 emails. Our click-through rate is now at like 14%, which is way higher than normal.
That's like 4 times what it would have been in January.
Right. So we're getting great response, just like he was saying on the emails. And, you know, with the 5,000 emails going out, we are seeing a lot more traction and people opting in on the free month. We're doing 1 free month and a uniform for the first 50 people to register. And so we've almost over 50, and it's been about 24 hours. And that's actually people that have registered for the online class. And then we're using the Google platform as well, overlaid with the virtual stuff. So you and I talked about this earlier, but we are immediately contacting them, trying to set up the first intro. But then we have the Google Classroom on the site that funnels them through kind of the intro process where, you know.
And now I'll pause you because we'll come back to that. We're going to spend a lot of time on that. Amanda, catch us up on your intro traffic this week. Amanda Olson.
We're doing group intros now, setting them up on virtual. It's been a lot of traffic with the Facebook and people being interested. So we're also getting
how many leads are you at for the week? If you had to guess.
What's that? We've had at least 30 appointments since Tuesday.
Okay.
So I know as of Tuesday night we were over 50, over 50 leads.
Yeah.
Tuesday night. What is today? Thursday.
Yeah.
And on our meeting Monday, from having launched on our meeting Tuesday, having launched Monday, it was 48 leads, and then I had no updates since then. So,
well,
in other words, you got a lot of traffic.
Heavier since Monday and Tuesdays. Yeah, we're over 70. You know, I mean, it's just they're still doing double appointments and group intros, and I haven't turned those over into enrollments yet because they're getting on the classes, but that's the plan.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that for at least 30 minutes here. Paul, go back to you. We talked about it on Tuesday, but what are you up to now in responses from your email blast for the virtual stuff?
Is that Grusho or
Paul Helston?
Oh, Helston. Okay, you got 3 Pauls.
That's true.
Same as it was before. We've been trying to copy everybody and getting a landing page up and the advertising, copying what everybody else is doing. I haven't gotten that operating, but
so
on the initial email, yes, sir. The initial email blast, it was about that. And so now we're trying to copy everybody else and get all the rest of that stuff in place.
Okay. Marty, just giving you some ideas to begin with. We'll walk through how they were doing that. Who else has had some big results the last few days on intro traffic? By the way, do we have Leo in the meeting here somewhere? Leo, are you hidden somewhere? I don't see Leo.
Master Oliver, this is Dave Grout.
Hi, Dave.
And the last 2 days, we've had at least 50 leads join our online classes, and probably just as many that came through other lines, like the emails we sent out. We sent out letters to everybody. I put up some peach jar flyers right through the schools. They approved them right away, and we're getting a lot of stuff from that. And so it's just like, again, you put us in front of this fire hose.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So
thanks.
You're welcome. 50, right?
Yeah, right.
50, fantastic.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I put just a real quick landing page together. I think I copied Olga's actually. I just put, point shoes on it instead. And I got 5 brand new leads, and 2 of them have already done an intro, and 2 of them have, with words said yes that they want to join long term.
Good.
But they're going to go into the group class today or on Friday. So that's huge. And they're not that far away. So
I'm going to join your virtual class too.
There you go.
You did?
No, she said she's going to.
Olga's
so excited.
Yes, my ballet class is not going right now.
Oh,
so
you should totally. So obviously you're a Russian, so Vaganova, yeah? Where are you from?
I'll message you, we'll talk. But
yeah, I love it. Sounds good.
She has a dance troupe too, Alexia.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
Alexia, come on,
Okay.
it's
I
Alicia.
threw the Alexia in there.
Okay. Okay. So
Leo's on, Master Oliver.
say it. Oh, Leo, you here somewhere?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
We were going to talk about marketing, but tell us how many renewals you've done this week.
So far, I'm at 10. And actually, I just had to call another person. Their credit card wasn't going through, and they apologized because they said that their credit card was hacked. But they also are renewing next month. So they renewed as of today. So I'm at 12 for the week.
Awesome.
Renewals for the week. All of them done virtual.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're the man.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's give him a round of applause there because he's ahead of the curve. We're gonna be talking about renewals next week mostly. But good work, Leo.
We couldn't see a picture there to get a visual on that, but get your video working there.
I don't know what's going on with my laptop as of this whole week. It's not been working. I got to bring it to Best Buy.
As long as it works for your live events, your live training.
I've been doing it on my cell phone, all my private lessons. So at least that's been going. But I've been trying to use my laptop now.
Yeah, well, you got to go with the Navy SEAL thing. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Anything that's mission critical, you got to have redundancy.
Guys,
I always take that to the ridiculous extreme, right? I figured out yesterday in the house there are currently 7 computers, arguably 3 of which are my 11-year-old, 4 of which are mine. So
I wanted to point out that if anybody has computer problems, get them fixed as fast as possible. Marie, one of our laptops just died. We can't buy a new computer. Best Buy is shut down now. There's new state guidelines, obviously, here in Seattle.
Amazon overnight.
No, we can't. We've tried to. It's giving us a month. Anything essential will be delivered right away. Non-essential will take a month. So we can't buy computers. So anybody that's in a state that this hasn't happened yet, get your stuff fixed immediately because it could happen. Might not happen, but if it happens here like Seattle, you might not be able to get your stuff fixed.
Facebook Marketplace.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to look for something used and try to buy it from somebody off, from their home. But yeah.
Well, or go to the Apple Store, or go to.
They're closed. They're closed. We can't.
Online, apple.com.
Okay.
Master Oliver, I have a question if you're available.
Go ahead.
I set up landing page for PE program, virtual PE program. I'm ready to send that out to our list. And plus, I'm going to contact principals that I have relationships, and I'm pretty sure they'll say yes. But what do you recommend? Well, initially I thought I was going to do around 11 o'clock, about 40-minute lesson, a couple of times a week, invite them to the virtual class and with the contact information, then invite them.
Hold the thought, Chris, and we're going to cycle back to that.
Okay.
Amanda, tell everybody what your offer is that's created the intro traffic this week.
We're doing our same offer we always do, which is 2 weeks free, but it's 2 weeks virtual free.
Yeah, with virtual lessons being right there in the headline.
Right.
Greg Macy, what was the offer that you used?
We used a month of virtual lessons and a uniform for free for the first 50.
And you've had about 50 respond to that already.
We'll be over 50 today for sure.
Yeah, good. David, what was your offer?
5 weeks free.
5 weeks free.
Just kind of copying the 27 for 10 classes.
Yeah. Kendrick, what was your offer? All these 6th, 7th, 8th degree black belts, and they can't figure out how to unmute on Zoom. Paul, what was your offer?
So I didn't have a term limit on my offer. So all I did was just say, hey, if anybody's interested in some free karate. So I don't have a term offer on anything yet, and that was what I was going to send out next, was to start getting them.
You had the most incompetent offer in history, and you still got 240 responses.
I screwed this up. I screwed this up on so many different levels, and I still did okay. So for those of you that are used to,
it's
are worried that you're not going to do well. Yeah.
And I must share with everybody, I had a conversation with you a week ago, and you were like on the precipice of the cliff, ready to jump. And then you sent out a couple of emails, and all of a sudden you were the most ecstatic, jumping up and down, engaged martial arts school owner ever. It's amazing how taking action and getting some results can change your state. Okay, so let's talk about first how to generate the traffic, right? So one is you should have, if you've been around us for any period of time, know that you need a big contact list, right? So preferably you have mailing addresses, phone numbers, email addresses. If you have a phone number, you can text and you can do automated voicemail. There's a variety of different platforms that'll do that fine. Call Loop is easy and cheap. That'll do automated voicemail and automated text. Next is you can do email. And a lot of the examples you were hearing were email. Now, if you've been around a while, you know I'm just over email and telling everybody email's dying a slow and painful death, and I'm not so sure about the slow part. However, right now, with this going on, people are reading their email. They're paying attention to Facebook. They're paying attention to LinkedIn, probably all the other social media platforms, and they're actually reading their email, which is probably the first time in a year and a half, right? So email is getting big response right now. I am both shocked and excited, right? So email, text, automated voicemail, live human being calling them, and direct mail, right? If you don't want to go to the post office, buy stamps, and do it all in-house, there are a number of different sources where you can do direct mail. As far as I know, they're still fully up and running and fine. Amazing Mail, you can get a postcard out immediately. Send out cards, you can get cards and postcards out. Amazing Mail, if you put it all in today, it'll mail out tomorrow morning from Phoenix. Also, Handy Mail I use a lot, and they're good at big lists. So like if I had Greg's list of 5,000 people, I would get out a 3-step series of postcards on the free month of virtual classes right away, right? Now, with some of this stuff, you got to make sure you don't queue up for it's in July, because this thing may all be winding down by late April, or my guess is mid-May. So, but you can promote it in all of those sessions. So let's start with your in-house list. And in many cases, you have a bunch of staff who are, trembling, sitting at home, afraid to come to the school, and you're on the verge of firing them. Well, this gives them something to do. You can let them sit at home, and you can pay them hourly, and you can give them a bonus for making appointments, going through your contact list, calling, leaving a voicemail, and then sending a personal text and sending an email to your contact list. If you had 15 part-timers, you could divide up a list of 5,000 people, give them each 300 of them, and ship them off to the races, right? Now, the next thing is, and David, you just said it, and Kendrick, you did it. Somebody else just had said it. You contact all of the teachers and the administrators at the schools in your area. And if you already have an existing relationship, that's a lot better. But even if you don't already have an existing relationship, is they all know that an awful lot of these kids are sitting at home and they're kind of terrorized by their parents freaking out, if nothing else, and they're not able to go out to the playground and do all this stuff. So you communicate with all of them, and you say, we want to give all the kids in your school a free month of virtual lessons. And I always like the uniform offer, right? So if it were me, I'd let them come curbside and pick up the uniform and pick up the book and pick up all the stuff. But you communicate with all of the educators in your area. I know in our area, every elementary school, for instance, they either have all of the teachers have an email address on their website, or they have a voicemail number on their website. Either way, why wouldn't I communicate with the principal, but also communicate with all the teachers and communicate out that We know the kids aren't having PE. They're not, in most cases, playing in the park, and they're going stir crazy. And we want an opportunity to teach them something physical, but also help them stay focused, mentally alert, and do something other than play video games. So we're offering them all you can pick what the offer is. We know the 2 weeks in a uniform pulled gangbusters. We know the free month in a uniform pulled gangbusters. We know that free virtual lessons pulled gangbusters. So all of that pulled gangbusters. So one, go to your contact list and hit them through every mechanism possible. Postcards, letters, email, text message, voicemail, etc. Right? Number two, and by the way, in your Facebook advertising and in your Google advertising, you can retarget to that prospect list. If you don't know how to do that, we won't walk through it right now, but it's called, if you're using Elite Digital, they can do this all for you in Facebook. But it's just called create a custom audience of your existing customers in Facebook. And in Google, it's upload a list to retarget, I think is what it says, upload a customer list to retarget. But the next thing you can do is communicate with all similar types of businesses that have email lists and have customer communication, right? Now, let's think of what other types of grassroots marketing, if you go through, the Quick Start program and you listen to all that great stuff with Master Smith, wouldn't this be a great time to have the free offer go out on the top of every Domino's and Pizza Hut box? You know, don't you, that Amazon, Domino's, Pizza Hut, all the pizza delivery places, Walmart and Target and the grocery stores are all desperate for staff. They're hiring crazy because their delivery business has spiked, right? So wouldn't it be a good time to be in every bag at the drive-through with McDonald's while the inside is closed? Wouldn't it be a good time to be in the bags in the Burger King? Wouldn't it be in a good time to be on top of the McDonald's, Burger King, all of that, right? Usually the best way to do this is as a charity flyer. It's $49 and all the money goes to the Ronald McDonald House, or all the money goes to charity. In this case, the charity is you've set up a full virtual classroom and you're going to give away a month free and give away a uniform for all these kids and adults who are stuck at home. And they're going to help facilitate by being a co-sponsor of the program. Is this making sense so far?
And
Now,
do something that helps with the coronavirus, something along that charity line.
Well,
I have a suggestion. We have a local pizza chain that, because of the school lunches not being provided or not provided as on regular schedule. So for every small $3 pizza, you feed one person, $6 pizza, you feed two, and like a salad provided with that as well. And for $10, you can feed 4 people. So basically what I was thinking, we could do the flyers, where, for $10 get 2 weeks of classes and, you get to feed 4 people or something like this, to where you're giving back even to that pizza chain, which supports that pizza chain, and they're able to provide lunches for school kids that are unable to, get their lunch at this time.
Sure. Well, yeah, but before we go further down this path, I think it's good enough right now that you're providing the offer as a month of lessons free, virtual, and the uniform. You don't really need the additional excuse of raising money for some other charity, right? So normally, like in January, keep in mind, the other thing I want you to put on the legal pad every day and sit down and brainstorm with yourself is what opportunities have opened up that I wouldn't normally have. Well, one opportunity is much more receptivity from principals and teachers to do something physical and valuable for the kids by virtual, because their soccer team is shut down, their baseball team is shut down. Most other, dance studios and all that stuff haven't been forward thinking enough in most cases to do that, right? So they're more receptive. I believe, and we haven't done it yet, but we're going to get out and get it done, is that the Pizza Huts and the Domino's and all those places will be more receptive to co-sponsor this free thing, right? And if somebody comes up with a specific charity that's somehow useful for coronavirus, fine. As far as I know, there's no such thing. But for the time being, just getting out and talking to Pizza Hut and Domino's and all those guys and getting them to put flyers out on the boxes is a sure-cut way to get a ton of them out, right? Because their delivery volume has spiked. Since people aren't going in, they can't go sit in a restaurant. So the delivery business, we also know drive-through business has spiked because, people are going to the Starbucks drive-through or the Pizza Hut or the McDonald's drive-through, et cetera. Number next is, and I've been posting examples, some of our members, like Amanda, you've been doing a great job at this, Amanda Olson, some of them that are not our members, that in many cases are friends of mine, but getting out there and getting free press. Nothing would be better than your local news channel comes in and shows at noon, at 5, at 7, or at 9, your virtual martial arts class, and they come to the school and they watch you filming with the iPad on the tripod and watch what's going on, and they put and they scroll on the thing your phone number, website, and the free month offer for free virtual classes. You can get a bunch of free publicity like that, right? Amanda, how many times have you already gotten some free press on this?
I've got, I was on the local news channel this week. This morning I did a radio spot. And the newspaper called, they got a bunch of pictures, and we'll be in the Sunday paper. Of course, it'll be the print and then also the virtual paper. So I can push, and the thing is I get that and I can push it all out. I can
Absolutely.
email, hey, we were on the radio. Hey, we were, I can social media it up, and it's not just the one-time thing. It's how much you can use it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, and there's another secret about media is if you watch the news and watch multiple outlets, they're all lazy. They want to be the news story about whatever's in the news right now. So they want it to be something related to coronavirus, good or bad, and 99% is bad. So if you provide them something good, it's a miracle, right? And then once one of them picks it up, you're now a credible media, star. So then the others pick it up. So once you're on one TV station, if you're on the CBS affiliate or the Fox affiliate, the others are much more likely to pick it up. If you're in one daily newspaper, it's much easier to get into the TV and in the radio. And by the way, when as soon as that newspaper ad comes out, Amanda, make sure you cycle it to all the TV stations and all the radio stations, right? And then cycle it to the smaller papers as well as to the bigger papers, right?
Master Oliver, I haven't thought about this for years, but do they still provide like access channels on TV? Or, the cable?
I think that was an okay idea for a while. What you don't have in this environment, doesn't have anything to do with coronavirus, but what you don't have going on in this environment mostly is people don't channel surf, right? So if you were in a situation where there was, 20 channels and people would just kind of surf from channel to channel to channel. In fact, David, it's your age demographic is the
yeah, right.
age demographic that still channel surfs. I know in my case, and I'm fairly technologically literate, if there's other than having the news on in the background, I only watch shows that I know that I like. And in most cases, I have no idea when they come on. I just have it DVR'd and then I watch it, or I watch it on demand, or I watch, right? So the environment of the way that people watch TV has changed. So therefore, those public access channels, even at the time, it was iffy because of the level of it, involvement. I went way down that path one time and then backed out because it was more money. I was better off buying it $1,000 a piece infomercial time than I was actually going to a studio and wasting my time doing it. That was a long answer to a short question, but yeah, that's not a very good route right now. if you had something in the can that could be retagged, getting on to TV right now with this offer would be great, right? So if I was back in the days where I owned outright a bunch of schools and I always had commercials in the can that I could retag, I would be on the air immediately. You know, it's possible that if you're like Greg Macy, for sure could do it, or if you're in a smaller area, it's possible you could get something turned around in time to be on the air by mid-April on TV. You could certainly be hitting radio, but as Amanda just did, getting out with a bunch of free radio interviews, TV is a natural for this, newspaper is a natural for this. You can stir up a lot of free publicity, right? And as Master Smith and I know, I mean, nobody was ever better in the industry than June Rhee. And, you know, June Rhee right now would probably be, you know, on CNN worldwide every 30 minutes like he was a number of times with his latest innovation on stuff. He'd probably have the coronavirus infected Republicans fighting the coronavirus infected Democrats, or have the Democrats coronavirus infected and have the Republicans defending themselves off, or some crazy thing.
He'd have the Democrats and the Republicans at the Senate gym on the 6-foot space working out at 7 a.m.
Exactly. There you go. There you go.
Master Oliver,
Go ahead.
I know it's the same process, but it is a little different. Just the virtual enrollments.
Yes, that's now our topic. That's now our topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I got some of those coming up.
Yeah. Let's leave the other conversation with, all we know is we're now shut out of doing birthday parties, being at the movie theater, being at some other big live event, no problem. We now know also that email is more responsive than it's been in years. We also know that the Facebook ad for, you know, the virtual classes have been very responsive. We also know that schools, principals, PE teachers, et cetera, are very responsive to something that we can provide for their kids to do virtually while they're locked up in the household, right? So communicating with educators, daycares, other businesses that have similar clientele who have an email list or one thing or another, doing that, but also looking at, you know, pizza delivery boxes and all that kind of stuff. You know, in many cases, some of the other stuff that we do, like rack cards, well, I mean, if most of the businesses are shut down, don't have any traffic, that doesn't help you. Bandit signs, if hardly anybody's out driving, that doesn't help you. But what we do know is that direct mail is going to work just great. Email is working. All that other stuff is working, right? On the next thing is, Amanda, now let's shift, and 2 or 3 people have asked the question. Chris, you shift. Let's talk about process, right? We talked about this, I believe, last week on Thursday, but we absolutely know that if you do a free month offer, 2-week free offer, 2 months offer, just come and show up at our virtual classes like Hendrik did. Any of those offers, if you just give them like a Google Classroom link and you give them a link to your virtual classes, 2 or 3 weeks later, you're basically not going to enroll any of them. We always want it to be where we do intro 1, intro 2, sometimes just intro 1. If I was, you know, a 27-year-old adult, I would do 1 private or semi-private class, then enroll them, right? But if it is with children, we want to have all the decision makers there, both parents or anybody else. The virtual thing actually helps a lot with this, right? And by the way, my guess is we keep a lot of this stuff, right? Well, Dad is going to be at the office until 7. Okay, well, we can plug him in by Zoom. And now we have, you know, I think there's a lot of this stuff we're going to keep, frankly. But in the meantime, so when you do the offer, we want to make sure that you always run them through a landing page or a phone call. A landing page is going to collect as much data as possible, but what I would want is kid's name, parent name, phone number, which, you know, ask for a mobile number, but most cases they're going to give you a mobile number anyway nowadays. Landlines are essentially dead. and we want an email address and a mailing address, right? Then when we get that, all the kind of materials that you would normally give them, you should have them set as your pages in your web page or as PDFs that you can email, and as a package that you can direct mail. And if it were me, I would do all three. I would send them a link to our website, like milehighkarate.com/first lesson and milehighkarate.com/second lesson. And Greg, you have that page set up as what, virtualripple.com or something like that? Yeah, is that it? Okay. Virtualripple.com as an example. But I would send them all PDFs by email. I would send them all the material that you would normally want them to see by sending them a link to a web page. And I would put a package in the mail and mail it to them. Okay. I would do all of the above. I also like the offers to be free uniform. And you could do uniform via mail to them or uniform via curbside delivery. But there's no particular reason to not to try to get them the uniform before they've done 1 or 2 private classes with you. Is that making sense? Amanda, on the intros you have done so far, how are you doing? Have you done 2 private classes? You mentioned earlier that you're now doing small group classes. Walk us through what you've done on Zoom so far.
So we schedule them a private introductory lesson, and we actually just do the same thing we normally do. We go over the 7 words of respect and the 3 acts of discipline, how to earn your white belt, and we teach them the same basic moves we do, and then we schedule them for their first Zoom class, and then we make sure that they're able to get on. So when we're doing the Zoom, we each have if we're teaching the class, we have an assistant, and they're able to answer questions and help people log on and get them into the class. And then we're teaching the class and then scheduling the next class. And now we're at the point where it's scheduling the enrollment conference.
Okay.
So would you suggest talking to them on the phone to close, or just keeping the Zoom?
I would 100% do it by Zoom.
Okay.
And by the way, with all of you guys, I mean, we have a lot of experience doing, none of you did we enroll in this program face-to-face, right? Other than maybe Greg Macy. But it was all some combination of phone and or Zoom. And my preference, I've got to tell you, is always to get people onto Zoom as quickly as possible, because it's much more powerful face-to-face than on the phone, right?
Okay.
Now, here's a conversation we had earlier with a couple of people, and I mentioned it earlier, is I always do like the idea of letting them see a beginner class in progress and or being a part of a beginner class in progress, okay? So here's 2 options. Option number 1 is you do a private first, show them the time and the way to get in, which you've already just done on Zoom, for the group class. Invite them to come and watch and or participate, and then schedule the second private lesson for a different time. That's one way. And if I were in a situation where I was short-staffed and all my staff is at home freaked out and I'm trying to manage this with 1 or 2 people, if I was in a stress situation, I'd probably do it that way. If I wasn't in a stress situation, I could do it the opposite way, the other way, which would be do the private Zoom class, then do the Zoom class where I get them on the phone, I walk them into the group class, talking to them on the phone. And Amanda, you understand why I say on the phone, because if there's 50 people in class, right, you can't have a one-on-one conversation as easily. So I could get them on the phone, walk them into the group class, have them participate for a little bit, and then say, what I'm going to do is we're going to break out into another room just like we do in the school, but you're going to see an invitation in a minute for please join, what it says, room 1, I think, or room 2. So, or, private intro room, so you can then, another instructor can move them into the other room you know, teach them a little bit privately. You could even put them back in the group class for a while if you wanted. Then you can pull them back out and do the enrollment conference, right? So if it were me, I'd probably be doing a little bit of both, right? If I had traffic that I couldn't do that with all of them with, I would let them go watch a group class, and then I would do another intro one-on-one, and then I'd do an enrollment, right? If I could manage to do, if I had enough staff to do 2 or 3 enrollments at a class, I'd probably walk them in by phone and then set them into another class, maybe with just the first, and then I'd put them back in, and then I'd pull them out one by one to do enrollments, right? When you actually do the enrollment, as far as I see, nothing changes. I would prefer it to be you're doing it in the same place physically in the school that you would normally do it. You make sure that all the language, all the methodology, everything that you normally say, everything you normally do stays exactly the same, right? Anything you need them to physically sign, you really have several options. One option is some of the billing software you guys may be using has a sign on an iPad or something like that. If you have a way to share with them, in this case, I'd use that, right? Normally, I don't like that. If you prefer, you can do something like DocuSign where you put it up as a PDF and they do that. What I would do personally is I would just email them a PDF or have them come by a curbside pickup for the uniform. And when they do the curbside pickup for the uniform, have them okay the paperwork when they come to the curbside to get the uniform, right? So, you know, there's 4 different options you can do. If you're using a billing software that'll let you, that's a virtual option. You can do DocuSign as a virtual option. I would, if you haven't already used that, I'd say it's too complicated to worry about messing with right now. It works just fine to PDF over a copy of the agreement. You could just fill it out, send them a PDF. They then have to print it and sign it. Now, when they print it and sign it, they can just take a picture on their phone and text it back to you, right? So that's a way. The only where that gets into a gap is if for some reason they don't have a printer at their home, right? Or they're like me. I've got 5 of them in here. None of them are working right now. So if they don't have a printer that works, then them coming and doing the uniform pickup and just initialing it off at that point would be fine too. Does that give you some ideas so far, Amanda?
It does. It just kind of confirms too, you know, just don't change the process, just keep everything exactly the same, and just be us.
Exactly.
Mr. Oliver, do you recommend doing the first classes private? Because we have it set up, and like I said yesterday, the prospect had technical difficulties, so we didn't get to do it, but we have it limited to 3. We just thought that if we continue, just like always, we do group first, and other people can, you know, other prospects can see they're not alone in this, and that may be inspiring to everybody.
Don't call it group. Don't call it group. Call it semi-private.
Right.
Okay,
right.
semi-private.
But the answer to your question is no. I have no problem with that at all. Right. I think that's absolutely fine. And in fact, you know, I've seen some people trying to, as soon as they shift to virtual, trying to do privates on everything. The more you just maintain normalcy and you do it the way you would normally do it, the better, right? What does get freed up a little bit is, and it's again an opportunity if the kids are home from school and the parents are home from school, suddenly you can pull off intros at 11 in the morning and at 1 in the afternoon and at 3, and the ability to space it out gives you a little bit more breathing room to have the process be a little more thorough and be able to give them a little more personal attention. But no, I don't disagree. What I was only reacting to, Olga, was I'm going to give free virtual classes. Now you guys all show up to our big group class, and then we're going to pitch you an offer by email if you want to actually enroll. We know that's not going to work, right? You see what I'm saying? If they just are kind of showing up whenever, and the only thing that would be worse than that is here's a bunch of videos of our curriculum. You can watch those for free. And if you want to enroll, take this offer in your email. None of those are going to work with
Right.
any level of efficacy.
Our
Right?
thinking behind scheduling was we're keeping everything the same because in a month and 2 months when it all goes back to normal, we don't want people to fall out of their regular routine. So all classes are as normally scheduled. Intro classes also, we don't want parents to be under impression, well, we have morning classes. No, they're still in the afternoon. The regular class will be in the afternoon, because if they come to an intro class in the morning and then all of a sudden, oh, well, your regular classes are not in the morning. So we just wanted to avoid those things, and we're just keeping everything as normal as possible, just virtual. That was our thinking behind it.
If it were me, I agree with 95% of what you just said. Keep everything as normal as possible in every way, shape, or form. But then as an enhanced level of service, Amanda Olson had the brilliant idea of doing the morning leadership lesson for her leadership students live. That's great. My idea was every morning at 9 a.m., you have like a workout for all of your students for 30 minutes. Again, as a virtual interactive, but just to recognize, you're home working from home, your kids doing school from home or on spring break. Here's something else we're going to do.
Right, and we added the morning workout, and we have so Monday through Friday, we're doing a 10:30 a.m. workout for the whole family as an addition.
Yep.
And then at 3 o'clock, we're doing like a 15-minute positive talk Monday through Friday again to
Good.
kind of keep everybody, everybody's spirits up. So yes, but
yeah. And within that context, I wouldn't have any problem with having a group intro at 10 a.m. and a group intro at 1 o'clock and a group intro at 3 o'clock, or a private intro schedule, whatever it might be. I mean, all you have to do, and again, I don't know if anybody's had any problem getting intros or students into Zoom. I would just point out, you can get them on the phone and walk them through the process, and then get to the point of, now I see you, turn on your camera, okay, we're good, right? You can have that process. But okay, in that case, I mean, I understand what you're saying. All you have to say is, normally our classes are 4 to 9 in the evening. In fact, here's the schedule. I'm going to email it over to you right now. But right now, with everything else going on and people home, we're trying to do this as an extra service to help, have some more things to do during the day, et cetera.
When it comes to doing the enrollment conferences on the Zoom link, what you need to do before you do any of those, make sure you role play it with your staff. They're on an iPad or an iPhone on another room, and then you go through it and you're selling them just like you would. So you got to practice your enrollment conference just like you do when they're sitting face to face, except you now got to do it, have them log on to your thing and do it exactly like you normally do, but do the practicing because there's going to be a few different tweaks to it that you're going to have to be comfortable with. And that's why ask questions just like a student would, so you can then get comfortable with, that format.
Yeah. But when you role play it with staff at the other end of the connection, right? Do everything the way you would do it in practice, so you get comfortable with the format, right?
Yeah, they have to be at home or they have to be in another room, so you're not just sitting in the same room.
Yeah. I mean, so like in my case, I like to write and do the visual. So if I'm going to be doing all of that kind of stuff, I may want to shift to its slides, right? Me personally, I'd probably get forced into, okay, I'm going to do this by PowerPoint, for God's sake, because they can't see me writing on the thing. So you can make some adaptations so that they can see it, but don't change the wording, don't change the flow, don't change the body posture, and don't change the setting any more than necessary either.
Master Oliver, do you have any recommendations for us here in in Harris County? We can't have the staff come into the school. Right now, I'm just getting away with it because it's me and my family going to school, shooting the video. But all my staff, have to remain at home. And how can we manage that being short-staffed like this?
Well, I think the have to is probably wrong.
But I think it's an easy fix, Master Oliver, because they, just like we're all in a different place right now, and I can take over the screen and be teaching whatever we're doing here, or Master Oliver can stay on the screen. We can pass it off if they are, on the live meeting, if it's interactive. So it doesn't matter where they are, if they're at home, and as long as they have a space cleared out and they're in their uniform and can lead the class, it doesn't matter who does it.
And that's actually,
even though all three could be, three staff could be on there, but one person does part of it, the other one does another part, or one does one class, one does another class.
Is there an image?
Hold on a second, Scott. Let's have two conversations here, right? The first is, when they, and again, this morning, at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., I got the stupid public safety alert, on my phone, and my Apple Watch dinged with the public safety alert. My iPad dinged with the stupid public safety alert. And I probably got it by email as well, right? And what you now get into is two conversations, right? One is a conversation with your staff of how we as an organization are continue to support the students, right? And the other conversation with the staff is about, using common sense and reason rather than catastrophizing and overreacting, right? So one conversation is whether you have the conversation with your staff of, I know what you're saying. Like right now in Jefferson County, Colorado, they're sending all this stuff out. State of Colorado sending all this stuff out. And daycares are open. The liquor store is open. The recreational pot store is open. Walgreens, King Soopers, Walmart, Target is open. All medical facilities obviously are open. McDonald's drive-through, Burger King drive-through is open. Starbucks drive-through is open. Chipotle is open for takeout. And the gun store is open for sales of guns and weapon or ammo and so forth. But the shooting range itself is closed. Okay. So if I was starting by having a conversation with staff and Olga had posted their sheriff in their district had done a Q&A to go with the, the national emergency warning and crap, right? But the Q&A one of them was, do I need a pass or do I need something if my job wants me to go in, can I still go in? I took that paragraph out of it and reposted it because the answer was really good. No, you don't need a pass. If you're going to a business that's a necessary business, fine. And if you're going to a business that's not a, whatever they call it, a necessary business, I think we're pretty damn necessary. But if you're going to a business that's not a necessary business, doesn't mean that because they can't be open for customers, doesn't mean there's not work to be done. So as long as you follow 6-foot social distancing and other safety practices, you're fine, right? So number one is people freak out for no good reason. And what happens is then they go home and they watch TV, they inundate with, just a second, Jason. They inundate with social media. They have their mom, their dad, their sister, their brother, husband, wife in their ear. Most of those people are emotionally in meltdown mode, right? So number one is you do have to kind of pull people back in and say, let's be realistic on what's going on. And you're not going to get sick by being in the middle of the classroom with somebody running the camera. Nor are you going to get arrested for driving down to the school. On the other hand, Scott, is in your situation, yeah, I mean, I can give them a list of 50 people to call and have them working from home, have meetings of my staff by Zoom, and then I can have them running intros and stuff as long as I monitor what their backdrop is and set up something that's halfway decent for them to use, right? Because most of what you're doing is by video and by phone with your customers anyway.
Yeah, that was my question, is just kind of like, I got one of my staff who lives in a small apartment. It's kind of tight. I don't know about is there an image question there? Hey, I come in for this free virtual martial art class, and there's a guy there in a tiny apartment teaching my kids martial arts. It seems, I don't know, a little strange. Is that not a big deal?
Well, order them a backdrop.
Well, something else too that we ran into yesterday is our internet crashed, but I had one of my other instructors teaching from his home. So all of a sudden it went over to him and he just took over seamlessly.
Yeah.
And then we got back on 10 minutes later. So it's actually really good to have staff in another location for technical problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As long as they have a high bandwidth internet connection. And if they don't, pay for it for them and tell them to get it upgraded, and tell Comcast or whoever to make it right the hell now, right? So, but again, I can't overemphasize how ridiculous people get on when the general public reads something like that. They assume that every business is just locked down and that everything is just shut down and you can't go for a walk, you can't walk the dog. I mean, none of that is true, right? So, keep them, exercise leadership and keep them under control, and then figure out what you can do to modify things if it's more appropriate that way.
And to address his issue on if they're shooting from their apartment or something and it's kind of small, well, what they're going to have to do is move stuff out of the way. They might have to move some stuff over into another room or push it back a little bit for a couple hours a day. But just run your camera just like you were going to shoot a picture and do the selfie on it, so you can look at the background and see what it looks like and make the adjustments so your room looks a little presentable. It's very small adjustment if they just move stuff around. Sometimes it's taking stuff off a desk or a picture off a wall or something like that.
Or get a photography backdrop, and you can green screen it, or you can put a black background or some other background. It's $50 maybe. That's not a big deal. So you can get a backdrop for them as well to keep it from looking, not looking right in the backdrop. If you get them a green screen, you could probably even use the virtual backdrop thing.
For movement, I don't think that is going to look as good, Master Oliver, because they're going to be.
Well, what I said, Master Smith, was if you use a green screen, you can probably get away with using the virtual backdrop, right? So with movement, so here's a virtual backdrop, right? Right now that looks fine. Now it doesn't, right? But that's because I don't have a green screen behind me, right? If I had a green screen, and everybody knows what a green screen is, right? It's just a photography backdrop that's green.
Turn your camera and show them, Master Oliver. Don't you have one in there?
I'd have to go up. It's in the garage.
Okay.
But yeah, I have one. I mean, but they're cheap. And actually, a green screen can be pretty much any color as long as it's not a color you're wearing. The reason they're most often green screens is that people are less likely to be wearing green. It's why all the newscasters, the weather guy on St. Patrick's Day wearing the green tie looks weird. But you can also do that. You could get them a green screen and then do a picture of the school. I mean, Amanda, if you look at her on the video, I can't tell whether that's a green screen or the picture in the school in the background, or she's actually in the school. So if you took a picture of the school and put it up and did a screen behind them, you could do that just fine, right? Again, it doesn't work very well if it doesn't have a green screen, because it has a hard time telling the backdrop from the person.
So if that backdrop right there was on a green screen and you did that movement, it would look just like you're doing now, not that.
Watch the weatherman on any TV station.
That's green screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they move.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're pointing stuff out in one thing or another, but there's not, a big map behind them. It's just, a green wall, and they're projecting it on behind it. It works just fine, right? And Zoom's technology is unbelievably good. I can't believe they can do this, right?
And they can play with the green screen and get good at zeroing in on it and making sure that it's the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it doesn't work well with
Olson.
movement.
Is it Amanda Olson that has the school backdrop? Is that your real school back in the behind you, or is that a screen?
It's real.
No, that's real. But
Okay.
again, I wouldn't know the difference if she had that same picture.
Right.
And had a green screen, right? I mean, watch most newscasts. You know, if you see the guy who's coming in from Denver and there's a beautiful downtown shot of Denver or, you know, Washington, D.C., they're not sitting off the mall with a window in the background. It's just a green screen and it's projected out. And it used to look kind of corny. Nowadays, it looks fine with this technology. Okay, any last question before we call it a day? Hopefully this has been valuable for everybody.
I still have a question. What I asked earlier was, should we be giving our previous students over the last couple of years
yes,
just free access to everything? Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I would do the same free offer, and I would go back through your inactive students, right? I mean, if I have somebody who, you know, they enrolled a black belt and they dropped out when they were a green belt, you know, you could give them access. You're not going to get them back re-engaged if you don't go through a normal intro, you know, conversation process, right? Just giving them opening to a link doesn't do anything.
Give them 2 weeks or a month, and then enroll them like you would an intro.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. So basically, you're treating them like an intro.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they'll get, if they sign up now, they'll get 2 months for each month we're on the virtual stuff.
And by the way, from now on too, right, is that prospect list, when I'm going to my entire prospect list, I'm going to all my inactive students as well. What I'd really like to be doing is dripping on my inactive students once or twice a month always. But now is a really good reason to get them re-engaged. And we've already heard anecdotally a number of people who've had students come back and get re-engaged in this because, number one, their schedule is suddenly freed up and they're at home and they can get re-engaged when they had missed classes.
To add to that, sir, we actually we had a couple come back out of retention from like 1 and 2 year retention because we did market to them. But another thing we did, and we all have students that move away. So we had some students that moved to Korea. Parents were in military and whatnot, and we just sent them a message, and they were ecstatic. So now they're logged in and they're doing it over in Korea.
Well, how cool is that?
So if you have students that have moved out of the area, ping them, because I mean this is perfect opportunity for them.
Yeah, well, and you know, maybe they move back or maybe they just say nice things about you, but it's always good to maintain that tie.
Sir, I did have a question with Master Macy. He was talking about something with Google.
Yeah, so you know,
Google Classroom.
Just to be clear too, I mean, we don't just do the Google Classroom because, like Grandmaster Oliver was saying, is the virtual is the key primary thing to engagement. But then we, on top of that, if you go to our virtualripples.com page, you'll see right there the classroom. We are getting a lot of traction. I'd say probably almost at this point, I mean, we just launched our virtual classes on Monday, but we're getting a lot of interaction on our Google Classrooms, and it's organized by belt. We give them assignments. You know, it's all in there, and so you can assign them the word of the month sheet. You can assign them watch the leadership of the day video. You can say daily exercise, and you can create those videos, and it just cut and paste it right from YouTube. So it works out really well. But then it gives my instructors something to do as they're sitting in the house. They can go through and actually comment and interact on it. And it's really a strong platform to be able to interact with the students. So
Greg, is that free for
it's free. You guys can all hop on there. Just go to virtualripples.com and you'll see the only thing that kind of stinks about it is there's one extra step process. You can't get around it with Google Classroom, is there has to be a classroom code. So when you go to our main page, you'll see the first step we list is copy down the code for your belt group. For you guys, if you're just trying to peruse it and get ideas, copy the code, copy any code. It doesn't really matter. It'll get you into the classroom. So you could, you know, copy the brown belt one and get in there. But then you'll see the assignments. And then what's really cool about it too is the kids are encouraged to upload a video. So we'll say practice the form 4 times and have your parents upload a video to it, and it uploads it into the platform, and then the instructors can actually critique it and score it. And so we're going to be implementing our Stripe week next week, and we're going to, of course, do the virtual. But we found with the virtual, it's really hard to highlight one at a time if you're testing people or trying to actually check their curriculum one at a time when you got 40 of them in the class. So with the Google Classroom, it is nice because you can actually, again, get them to upload their thing. The instructor can grade it and say, yeah, it's good enough, or they can critique it and say, you need to pivot your foot or whatever, and then give them the feedback and say, go back to work and redo it. And so again, it's just another element of adding that interaction. And we're finding, you'll see in there's a lot. I think right now we have 86 assignments that need to be graded. So we got some work for our junior instructors.
And what's really nice about Google Classroom is that an awful lot of the parents and the kids are familiar with it. I was, because the elementary schools and middle schools use it. So they may well already be extremely, there's other platforms as well, but Google is pretty pervasive, in part because they provide it free for all the schools. But it's a really powerful platform, and they are in many cases already familiar with it. So
add one more piece to that. It's really nice because you can give them class credit just based off the work. It's not like they have to email you and there's that. It's one platform. As an instructor, I can go in and see how many people watched or did assignments today, how many assignments need to be done, graded. You can,
not only how many, but which one specifically.
Exactly. So you can look at the groups individually. And then we have a classroom for leadership. You'll see there's leadership book review. There's Little Ripples. We have Read with a Black Belt. So we're going through kids' books, some ninja books and whatnot. So we're doing those. And you can do daily exercise. And what's nice too is it's not, you can do 3-minute videos. So you can see under the orange belt, their assignments today is to do warm up, to do this challenge, to do that. And then we'd have them do something fun like we had a clean your room challenge. Whoever took a before and after picture had the most improvement in the room got, something. We're doing a challenge that they get to have lunch in the park with me from McDonald's or whatever if they scored a certain amount of points. So you can get really creative with all the different challenges and things to keep them engaged.
It might be worth next week, Master Oliver, to show everybody how to use the Google link there for that if they want to add that dimension to it.
Yeah, and it's fairly easy. I'll post the link into Google Classroom, or Greg, you can for them if you wouldn't mind. But again,
actually ours is just tied. If you go to virtualripples.com and then you say classroom, it'll show right there. And if you want to create your own classroom from that, you're already on the Google platform.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's literally that. So, good. Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oliver. Just a quick question. So if I were to set up a virtual PE class, what time would you recommend? The class time for the virtual PE class?
Well, obviously there's two ways to do it, right? And this again is no different than what we've always done. Think about, one avenue into the schools has always been like the Children's Hospital flyer, where you're inviting them into your school and then you put them through the normal intro cycle. Right. And the other way is you go to them. Now, if I was dealing with a school where they're in fact doing live video feed with their students and doing any comparable thing, I would love to do a class as part of their virtual feed. My guess is that's not going to happen as easily as getting them to widely disseminate for you, the free month that you're offering, right? There's no particular reason why you would need to do it 11 a.m. on Tuesday like you would physically at the school for all the students. The problem with that is you'll lose them all in the shuffle. I'd rather drive them through a landing page, capture their information, and then walk them through a normal introductory process.
Oh, so you wouldn't set up a regular time?
I would prefer it to be, they're putting out that we're doing a free month for all of the, Leewood Elementary kids. and then they can give a landing page that we bring them through, collect the information there, and then I'm going to schedule them through a normal intro process and try to enroll them. If they don't enroll, they can, you know, do the free month. That's fine too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The free month for them is we can just invite them. Well, what time would they take the free month class though? Let's say they don't enroll
The
with the
time that
regular
you're basic, the time that
The regular basic classes.
Oh, the regular basic class, we just put them in.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
do an intro first and let them register, get all their contact information, do a regular first intro, just like you would, schedule them then into the next class, and then do a conference for them. And if
Yes,
they,
sir.
if they can still finish the month.
Yeah, that we'll do it, of course. But my question is, for us to send out the emails to the school, and we don't have to have a specific PE class time written out, right?
No.
Okay. That was my biggest
Just have to
question.
give them the procedure for signing up for the free month.
Right. But if you did a normal, let's say it's a Groupon offer, or it's a, you know, a charity flyer, or anything that's like a longer offer, you're going to go through the same process, which would be, you know, do an intro, then do another intro, do the enrollment. If they don't enroll, you let them do a third and fourth class. I would always and forever schedule each time by appointment, and then I'm going to interact with them personally so that I can work to finalize the enrollment. In the virtual environment, I could schedule them for class, but then I could schedule them for either an individual intro the following week, or I can walk them into the class and then walk them into a breakout room to you know, work on the enrollment after the second week if they didn't enroll in the first week.
And I wouldn't do private intro. First intro, I would do the semi-private. So you might have a 5 or 6 in there, and you schedule those out once they opt in on your page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we can call those semi-intros like a
Call it a semi-private. Tell them the first class is a semi-private.
Okay.
And because you're going to call them and talk to them once they get
Right.
registered anyway. And then you'll set it up like a regular first intro, semi-private. And then from there, you'll say, okay, guys, next time you're going to be in one of our beginner group classes, and this is how it is, and this is the time, and walk them through it just like you normally would.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, we'll call it a day. Keep sharing success stories, everyone, and then we'll follow up. We're going to do the same thing next week. All hands on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And keep sharing your success stories there. We like it.
Exactly.
Okay. Have a good day.